Hi, I'm Dr. Bryon Coker, the founder of 316 Health Solutions and creator of the 316 Jumpstart program. I've spent the last 17 years in my practice helping people to understand how to live healthier lives and how to get more out of life. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 foundational health principles that have empowered women with thyroid conditions to take charge of their life and health and eliminate symptoms like fatigue and weight gain or weight loss resistance, anxiety, depression, and brain fog, and more importantly though, to really get back into enjoying life. I'm gonna share with you the 3 foundational health principles known as simple math, addition and subtraction, community, and having ESP, or expert systematic protocols. And I'm going to give you the simple guidelines to start implementing these principles in your own life right away. I'm also going to share with you the #1 thing that nearly every one of my patients needs in order to truly make a lasting transformation. Now, we're going to cover a lot of material, so be sure to download the PDF below, and so that way you can also take some notes along with this. If you've missed the last video, you definitely want to go back and watch that first one because I shared some insight into why you're still having thyroid symptoms, even if you're on medication. And I introduced you to the concept of taking control of your health naturally without the use of drugs or doing surgery or any other risky procedures. We also talked about the thyroid support system and how 93% of hormones produced by your thyroid needs to be converted in a usable form through the different systems in your body, like your gut and your liver and your heart and muscle. So if you haven't seen those videos, go watch it right now, and there's a link that you can see on the page below, and just go ahead and click that and watch it and then come on back. Okay, so let's talk about your transformation. Let's talk about the transformation that you need to make. Every minute of every day, your body is constantly transforming. Everything you eat, breathe, come in contact with is having an impact on your health. You can't just leave that to chance, and you can't succumb to the sick care plan of dealing with symptoms one at a time and making decisions based on an outdated information. The sick care model just flat out doesn't work, especially for thyroid patients. It's time for something new. It's time for that amazing transformation that you've been seeking, and not just a temporary transformation that lasts a week or a month or even a year, but something that sticks with you for the rest of your life. I want to give you a foundation for a great life, a life where you're able to eat delicious foods without the fear of gaining weight, or a life where you can build deep relationships with your loved ones without the fear of anxiety or depression getting in the way. And also a life free from chronic pain and misery. I want you to have the quality of life that allows you to enjoy the little things, the quality of life that you deserve. But before we get into the 3 foundational principles of health, I want to answer a question that we've been getting a lot of, and that is, how serious is my thyroid condition? So as we discussed in the last video, if you've been diagnosed with a hypothyroid, there's at least an 80% chance that you also have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease. According to the AARDA, the American Autoimmune Related Disease Association, autoimmune disease is considered a serious chronic illness, and according to the Social Security Department, it can even be categorized as a disability depending on its severity. But the real problem with autoimmune disease is that if you have one, you're far more likely to develop another one. And some autoimmune diseases, they can lead to death or worse, insurmountable medical bills, even if you have great insurance. Nearly 2 out of 3 bankruptcies stem from medical bills, and even people with health insurance face financial disaster if they experience a serious illness. That's a direct quote from the American Journal of Medicine. Now, I'm not an alarmist, and I don't say these things to scare you, but it is something that you need to know, and I'll bet no one else is telling you how serious this disease really is. Autoimmune diseases have been on the rise over the last 50 years, And the National Institutes of Health estimate that nearly 23 million people suffer from an autoimmune disease. In comparison, cancer affects about 9 million people, and heart disease up to 22 million people. The bottom line is this: if you decide to continue to participate in the sick care plan, it could cost you more than just your health. For some families, it has already cost them everything. The good news is this: it's not too late. In fact, it's never too late to take charge and transform your life. I've worked with patients who felt like they had one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel, and just applying these proven strategies, we were able to see amazing transformations in their lives, and you can do the same thing. Donna was one of those ladies who struggled with all the typical thyroid symptoms, fatigue and weight being at the top of the list. She had a long family history of cardiac problems and high cholesterol, which she also struggled with as well. And she was diagnosed with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's and put on Thyroid. Years went by and she did everything that the sick care system was telling her to do, but her symptoms continued to get worse. She was at the point where the fatigue was so bad that her career as a real estate agent was being jeopardized. She barely had enough energy to show her clients a house. After each showing, she would drag herself to her car. She would drive to a shady spot somewhere close by and just fall asleep, hoping to get enough energy before her next appointment. With her cholesterol sky high and her cardiologist concerned about her having a heart attack, she was put on some cholesterol lowering medication and told to lose weight. But after a year of this and her health just getting worse, she finally had enough. She's a single mom with no support and feeling overwhelmed and scared by the health challenges that she was facing. She took a bold step, and she chose to step out of the sick care model and seek out how to take control of her own health. She didn't even know where to start or what to do. All she wanted to do was she just wanted to feel better and for someone to really just care enough to help her and encourage her. So she knew her body was transforming, but it was going in the wrong direction. And that's when she attended a workshop where I was teaching about the foundational principles of health and how to jumpstart your body, and she decided that night that she wanted to take control of her health and transformation. The results were astounding. Within 2 weeks of implementing a jumpstart along with the foundational health principles that I'm about to share with you, she went back to her cardiologist, and not only had she lost 12 pounds, but her cholesterol had dropped from 299 to 86. This is something that she had not been able to do for the whole year following the sick care plan. The best part of her story is her energy dramatically increased within the same 2 weeks. She began having energy to show homes. She soon had the energy to go all day and still have energy to burn when she got home. The principles were so easy for her to implement that she even introduced me to her daughter, who then decided to take charge of her health. And so she soon started applying the principles to her life as well. For Donna, a jump start saved her career. It brought her closer to her daughter, and it also gave her a new reason to get up in the morning. So what is a jump start, and what are these foundational health principles? These are the same principles that exist in parts of the world where people consistently live to a healthy 100 years old. They're the same principles that have been proven time and time again to transform so many patients' lives, and they're the same principles that we hold fast to in our home. The first foundational principle is what I call simple math. It involves 2 steps: addition, subtraction. Essentially, living by the principle helps you to categorize everything you eat, breathe, and come in contact with into 2 categories: bad for me or good for me. Sounds simple enough, but there are certain foundational foods and nutrients that are good for people suffering from a thyroid condition, and there are also very specific foods, nutrients, and chemicals that are extremely bad for those patients. The challenge for most people is separating fact from fiction and old wives' tales from science. In the late 1980s, 2 major reports came out identifying dietary fat as the single most important change in improving diet and health. This created a low-fat or fat-free phenomenon that is still lingering today. Unfortunately, the food industry capitalized on this notion early and began modifying foods in such a way to appear as though it was low-fat or fat-free. This was leading consumers to believe that they could actually enjoy a big stack of low-fat Oreos and somehow not get fat. The insanity of this is that our bodies need fat. Every single cell requires saturated fat and cholesterol. So how absurd is it that we eat less of it? Yes, we should eat less bad fat. The problem is that they lumped good fat and bad fat into the same category, and people were avoiding fat altogether, which it led to cell damage and the epidemic of diseases that we're seeing now. We always start our thyroid patients on high-fat diets, and then we watch as the weight just falls off. Now, please remember that not all fat is good fat. At the most basic level, good fats are medium-chain fatty acids found in foods like coconut oil and avocados. And bad fats are long-chain fatty acids, and those are found in foods like your vegetable oils and Crisco. So these are only a few examples, and there are so many more of them, but too many to list in this video. Another great addition, especially for thyroid sufferers, is probiotics. You may have heard of probiotics like the ones found in some yogurt, or maybe you're taking probiotic supplement and you're really impressed by the 500 million CFUs that you're swallowing, or maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about. Probiotics have gained some recent fame, but they have been an essential part of human life for our entire existence on this planet. Probiotics are naturally occurring live microbes that, when found in adequate amounts in our digestive system, they have a significant health benefit. One of the first things that we teach our patients is how to consume more natural probiotics, and we've witnessed just a profound impact on our patients' health through the addition of the right amount of probiotics coming from the right source. This goes way beyond yogurt and supplements. In terms of subtraction, unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard of the gluten-free diet, and there is merit to it. But again, we're seeing the food industry modify foods in such a way to appear gluten-free. However, the harm most of these foods are doing to consumers is far outweighing the benefits of simply removing the gluten. The truth is that eating gluten is bad for most people. Gluten molecules are like tiny little razor blades, especially for people with sensitivities. In a healthy digestive system, the vital nutrients of the food you consume are broken down until they're small enough to be absorbed through the gut wall. When gluten gets into your digestive system, it begins to break down the barrier of your gut wall and eventually allows larger particles of food into your bloodstream. This condition is known as leaky gut. What's interesting is the molecular structure of gliadin, the protein portion of gluten, closely resembles that of your thyroid. Now, when gliadin gets through the gut wall and enters into the bloodstream, the immune system sends antibodies to destroy it. And since there's a resemblance between gliadin and the thyroid tissue, these antibodies to gliadin also begin to attack the thyroid. And that is Hashimoto's. Your immune system is attacking your thyroid. Now remember, you might be able to eat the most perfect gluten-free diet known to man and still not find any relief from your symptoms, because a gluten-free diet is only going to address part of the puzzle. But if you have a thyroid condition, especially if you have Hashimoto's, you should immediately cut out gluten. That's Hashimoto's 101. Now, to really add insult to injury, Synthroid and levothyroxine, they both contain gluten. Now, I want you to listen closely to this. Please do not stop taking your medications. Every single cell in your body needs thyroid hormone, and you need to continue taking your thyroid medication. I just want you to be aware of how ridiculous the sick care system really is. Maybe you've heard about the study that came out recently, supposedly debunking the original study that gave wake to gluten sensitivity in the first place. The truth about this is the so-called debunking was that it only debunked self-diagnosed non-celiac gluten sensitivity. Of course, the media went crazy with it and released headlines like "Science proves gluten sensitivity isn't real," and people are just whiners, which completely misled the public and, in my opinion, was a slap in the face to the people who are actually suffering from celiac and gluten sensitivities. Interestingly enough, The new study was conducted by the same scientist who did the original study, and it actually shed some light on another agitator of thyroid in Hashimoto's patients, which brings us to the second subtraction item, FODMAPs. FODMAPs are basically a certain type of carbohydrate that is poorly absorbed in the small intestine. A couple popular FODMAPs are onions and garlic, but the list is very long and way too long to list here. Another FODMAP I want to mention quickly is soy, because it's found in a lot of the gluten-free foods on the shelves these days. Soy has also been long thought to interfere with the body's ability to absorb thyroid medications like Synthroid or levothyroxine. Let's move on to the second principle of foundational health, community. Having a group of peers in the same journey, facing the same struggles, and overcoming the same hardships you're facing is essential. Having a safe place to go where people understand what you're going through, not simply out of empathy or sympathy, but because they've been there, exactly where you are, struggling with the exact issues that you're struggling with. And that kind of support is imperative to keeping you centered on your journey and taking control of your transformation. We've seen this principle play a cornerstone role in helping women stay accountable to each other and be encouraged and share success and failures and just be a light to each other. This principle, though it's a bit intangible, it's equally important to the other two. The third foundational health principle is having ESP, expert systematic protocols. Sometimes even the most well-meaning friend or family member or even a support group member or leader can give you bad advice that sounds really good and logical and helpful, when in reality the advice, if followed, could be detrimental to your health. You need someone who is trained, a professional with education on the topic, who has researched and seen results in more than just a few cases. Let me give you an example. I see this in thyroid forums a lot. Someone posts a question like, what vitamins should I be taking for my hypothyroidism? And we'll see anywhere from 3 to 30 comments that are way off base from well-meaning forum members and sometimes even group leaders with no medical background. Now, 30 comments is a great sign of community, which is definitely important, but remember, the purpose of community is for encouragement, not education. Some of these groups would like for you to believe that they have all the answers, but in reality, you should not lean too heavily on the advice of the people whose entire education on the subject was gleaned from being in the trenches with you. Oftentimes, what works for some people, or even the majority of people, will not work for you, and could even do your body some damage. Without an expert to give you pointers and direction based on real proven results and experience with a multitude of cases, you'll end up being tossed and blown about by every wind of new teaching. Obviously, that is not ideal. Additionally, an expert will be able to give you the relevant and timely advice, having fielded many of the questions that you're likely to come up with. An expert will be able to give you the big picture and explain the why behind the advice that he or she gives. Now, going beyond these principles, it's important to remember that we can make a lot of changes and see a lot of results, but if our cells are dead and dying, they are not going to respond. This is the main thing that so-called programs are missing out there. We all live and die at the cellular level. If your cells are dead or dying, they will not respond to anything without a jump start. And I'm going to cover the jump start in my next video. So if you're watching this video, you probably fit into one of two categories. In the first category, maybe I'm the first one to tell you about these 3 foundational health principles, and this all sounds very fresh or new. Maybe you're used to going to the doctor and hearing that drugs are going to heal you, and that's what you've always believed. And now you're hearing that drugs are not the answer and that your body can actually heal itself. So you're confused, and this sounds a little scary, and that's okay. We run into people all the time who have never heard of foundational health principles, or they're surprised to hear me say that drugs are not the answer. If that's you, here's your aha moment. If drugs were actually healing your body or making you feel better, you probably would not have made it this far into the series. And the chances are pretty high that you're growing more and more tired of going to the doctor just to be put on more and more medications for all the symptoms that you're having. And that is what nearly every one of my patients tells me in our first encounter. They're tired of being told there's nothing more you can do, or just deal with it. Or the medicine should take care of the symptoms, only to find out that the side effects of the drugs are usually way worse than the original symptoms. And worse yet, they don't even help resolve the very reason why you started taking them. So, if this is you, I have great news for you. In the next video, I'm going to show you the root cause of all of this and give you a real-life example of how you can take control of your health and heal your body without drugs, so that you can eliminate your symptoms like fatigue and weight gain and weight loss resistance, anxiety, depression, and brain fog. It all starts inside, and it's all about the jump start. And the other category is maybe these 3 foundational health principles, or the idea that your body has the power to heal itself, sounds great to you. And maybe you've already tried other programs, but you just didn't get what you were expecting out of it. Or maybe it was just too hard and you felt like you were just not supported. Or after starting, you felt hopeless or alone and you just gave up. This is pretty common, and if this is you, today is a great day for you, because there is just absolutely no other way for you to get your body back on track without a jump start. The odds are that the reason those other programs didn't work is because your body needed a jump start. If the program you struggled with was as simple as a gluten-free or a paleo diet, or even something more advanced like the AIP diet, the reason for your failure was most likely due to the fact that your body's batteries are dead and you need a jump start. Imagine if the battery in your car dies and you start worrying about what type of gas to put in it. Sure, those diets are good and they work for some people sometimes, but the truth is that until your body is healed at the cellular level, your batteries will always be low and you'll always struggle to get good results. And in the next video, I'm going to be laser focused on cellular health. We live and die at the cellular level, and this is key to unlocking your health. I'm going to show you a simple test that you can do in the comfort of your own home to find out if you have dead or dying cells. And I'm going to give you the top 3 causes of cellular inflammation and how to avoid them. It's going to be an awesome video full of great content, and so you definitely don't want to miss out on this one. But first, right now, what I would love for you to do is to scroll down, hit that Facebook like button and share button. And what I really want you to do, though, is leave me a comment. I want to know how you're going to apply these 3 foundational principles to your own life, and how this is going to make an impact on the quality of your life. I'd love to hear how you're going to use these 3 principles to make a change in your health. I'm going to continue to read all the comments personally, and I'll be responding to as many as I can, so just scroll down right now and leave me a comment.